At first glance, this 1894 masterpiece looks like the ultimate definition of innocent Victorian purity. It's titled Spring, painted by Sir Lawrence Alma-Tadema, and it depicts a sunlit procession of children and young women carrying flowers down a grand avenue. The towering marble columns, the rain of petals, the sweeping crowd. It looks like a high-budget still from a Hollywood epic. But if you look closer, you'll discover that the painter was playing a highly sophisticated, slightly mischievous game with the audience. Hidden beneath his ocean of pink petals are coded messages about ancient fertility cults, architectural fabrications, and a direct subversion of the innocent scene on display. Today, we are decoding the secret, scandalous language hidden inside this absolute masterpiece. To understand this painting, we first have to understand the painter. Lawrence Alma-Tadema was a Dutch-born artist who became a superstar in Victorian England. He was so completely obsessed with creating classical antiquity that his contemporaries nicknamed him the Marble King. He didn't just paint stone, he studied it like a scientist. Look at the column on the left edge. He didn't just paint white. He painted the translucency and reflection of polished sunlit Carrara marble. Alma-Tadema spent a staggering 4 years working on this single canvas, frequently scraping it completely clean until the depth and texture were flawless. Notice the bizarre shape of canvas. It's incredibly tall and narrow. By cropping the sides tightly, your brain is forced to look up and down, creating an overwhelming sense of height. This is what we call the crowd cheat code. This narrow composition makes a few dozen people look like an endless army of thousands packed into a claustrophobic, monumental city. It's a psychological framing trick that directors still use today to make crowd scenes look massive on a budget. So what is actually happening in this procession? Look closely at the foreground. Barefoot women and children, garlanded with bright flowers and playing musical instruments like panpipes and tambourines, march down marble steps through a polychrome marble Roman street. Alma-Tadema is ostensibly depicting an ancient Roman spring festival, potentially the Floralia or Cerealia, dedicated to the renewal of life. But here is the secret inspiration behind the canvas. The painting brilliantly merges Alma-Tadema's interest in the Victorian May Day custom of children gathering flowers with the festive spirit of those ancient Roman spring festivals. In reality, these aren't ancient Romans. They are wealthy upper-class Victorian Brits playing dress-up. Alma-Tadema regularly invited his high society friends, his daughters, and his wife to pose in his studio wearing makeshift togas. If you look at the little girls in the front row carrying baskets of anemones, those are modeled after real British children of the 1890s. It is essentially a massive, high-budget historical cosplay event immortalized in oil paint. To make it feel authentic, the artist spent years traveling to Pompeii and Rome, sketching real archaeological digs. But despite his reputation, Alma-Tadema was actually creating a historical Frankenstein, stitching together completely different locations and time periods into a single fantasy canvas. The triumphal arch visible on the far left features an inscription lifted directly from the Arch of Trajan in Benevento, Italy, built around 114 AD. Directly underneath that inscription, the circular carving of the river god is stolen from the Arch of Constantine in Rome, built nearly 200 years later. This means Alma-Tadema took an architectural design from 315 AD and pasted it onto a building from 114 AD. If you look at the same circular relief, the artist uniquely added a sheep and a bull. This represents the zodiac signs Aries and Taurus, pointing to April and May, confirming the spring setting. This is where the painting takes a wild turn. To the average Victorian viewer, this looked like a harmless celebration of May Day. But to the educated elite, Alma-Tadema left a trail of breadcrumbs hinting at the true uninhibited nature of Roman Floralia, which was actually a raw, licentious fertility rite. Look at the large green banner held high in the center of the crowd. It contains a real Latin inscription from a fragment then attributed to the poet Catullus. It reads, "This enclosure I dedicate and consecrate to thee, O Priapus." For context, Priapus was the ancient god of fertility, gardens, and raw male sexuality. Right below that banner, attendants are carrying two silver sculptures of satyrs, the mythic, sexually insatiable followers of Bacchus. Now look at the crowd itself. Right in the middle of the innocent flower girls stands the only male musician, playing the panpipes. If you look at his hair, it is styled into two distinct tufts that look suspiciously like a small hidden goat horns. The artist literally sneaked a satyr right into a crowd of children. Masterful blend of spectacular scale and hidden narrative is exactly why this canvas achieved a bizarre second life years later. When cinema was invented, early Hollywood directors didn't know how to make epic movies look real, so they turned to Alma-Tadema. Look at the women leaning over the balconies on the top left, throwing flowers down onto the parade. When legendary director Cecil B. DeMille was filming his 1934 epic Cleopatra, his production crew used this exact image as a visual guide. Decades later, when Ridley Scott was preparing to shoot Gladiator, his team used the exact color palettes, marble reflections, and vertical framing found right there to construct the look of ancient Rome. At the bottom of the heavy gilded frame, which Alma-Tadema designed himself, he inscribed a poem by Algernon Charles Swinburne about a land of clear colors. By encasing his Roman fantasy inside contemporary poetry, he drew a line directly between the opulence of the Roman Empire and the grandeur of the British Empire. Spring is a masterclass in how an artist can satisfy the strict moral codes of their time on the surface, while hiding a completely different, procreative story in the plain sight. Did you catch the hidden horns on the musician before we pointed them out? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.